Hello, Just Gem here and welcome, or indeed welcome back to my channel. If you cast your mind back, some time ago I did a poll over on Instagram about which palette I should film with next. And the palettes in question were Kaima Cosmetics Skullz and Roses, Nomad Cosmetics Wild Atlantic Way, Nomad Cosmetics Fuji 5 Lakes, and Kaima Cosmetics Boujee Boudoir. I'm still yet to film with all four of those palettes. The last outstanding one is Boujee Boudoir. Here's what she looks like on the inside. I think that's quite true to colour. First things first, before we go any further, for you ASMR lovers out there, that was a bit quiet until the very end, wasn't it? A little bit quiet. I've been excited to try this because when I tried Skullz and Roses, I was exceptionally impressed. It was a very, very beautiful palette. Having said that, I've got to say I was more excited about Skullz and Roses because it's got that grungy, earthy, not earthy, grungy, vampy, sultry kind of look to it, those kind of tones. Boujee Boudoir is a lot more cool neutral and softer. I'm wondering if I should get them out to compare briefly. Yeah, one moment please. Right, so I will link my review of Skullz and Roses down below, but just so you can see them side by side. There we go. So you see what I mean? That's just a lot more grungy, gothy, vampy, sultry. Well, this is still sultry, but it's softer. Night and day, almost. Night and day. But I don't have much that looks like this, so I think I was a little bit more excited about this one. Having said that, still very excited about Boujee Boudoir. There are some very light shades in here. I mean, I have swatched them, so I'll show you the swatches momentarily. You can almost see it now that I'm showing it on screen, but some of the shimmers, I don't know if they're different enough from each other, but what I think I'm going to do is I'll show you the swatches that I've taken with the camera that I film with, and then I'll also insert some swatches, well, it's the same swatches, but it's different lighting using my camera phone instead, just so you can see the difference, because I think the nuances are going to be in the shifts, and some of the formulas of the shimmers vary as well. I don't know if, because I think I had the same query when I was looking at the breakdown, like I wanted to know the breakdown of the different formulas, and I don't think the website says, but I'm just going to check that briefly. It doesn't tell you that. Just looking at them, yeah, just some of the shades like VIP, for example, Star and Charisma are an ever so slightly chunkier formula. The others are a bit smoother. There's, what is that? Is it Star? That swatches I've taken with my camera, you can't see these speckles, at least, I mean, I don't know, but yeah, you'll see, have a look at the swatches, and just so you can get the full picture and hopefully the full spectrum of shifts, see how they look in the camera swatches too. Here are all 16 shades of Boujee Boudoir by Kaima Cosmetics swatched out on my arm. I quite like that it's got a gradient from sort of quite light down by my wrist, going to quite dark towards my inner elbow, and it looks like that last shade is a black, but it's almost an extremely deep plummy brown rather than an actual black shade, which I think goes quite nicely with the rest of the colour story in this palette. There are a range of different silvers, and I just don't know if they are different enough. But there's one shade which, I don't know, it's early days, but it might be a standout for me, but it's Fame, which is here. And Fame's got this lovely green shift to it, maybe even bits of blue. But yeah, Fame is a really beautiful shade. I've just got an additional light here over the top, just so you can see what it looks like. And there's a bit of extra light. I've still got the swatches on my arm, and I just thought I would show them to you again in yet more different lighting, because I think it shows the variation a bit better. I hope that those swatches are detailed enough just for you to get the full shift. Sometimes they're just really, really difficult to capture on camera. While the website does not have the breakdown, it's 8 mattes and 8 shimmers slash special shades, whatever breakdown those special shades have amongst them, I'm not sure. And I'm going to do my usual, one look on each eye. I focus on the light shades up top for one eye and the deeper shades at the bottom on the other side, just so you can kind of see the range and potential depth you can get from the palette. Refer number 15, we're going to start light. See, now Boujee is very, very light, so that's Boujee here. Let's go with Blessed, a bit of a step up. I'm just going to... Yeah, I don't think Boujee is a shade I'd ever really reach for as like a crease shade. I think Blessed is probably as light as I'd probably want to go. Let's now go into Lucky, which is this shade right here. Right, let's see how much deeper this is going to appear in comparison to Blessed. Okay, yeah, I see it. I can't remember from when I used this before if this is one of those palettes that prefers you to build from dark to light or light to deep. And then we're going in with Loyal. I don't know, I know I said I'd stick to the top. I don't know if Loyal is a big enough step up from Lucky. It's a very similar shade, but with perhaps more pink in it, which I think you can see when I hold them up there. Yeah, so you can just see that that's got more pinky purple to it and not necessarily more depth. So I know I said I'd stick to the top two, but I might just venture down here just to give a little bit of depth. I think Glam will be sufficient for a bit of depth. As I say, I don't want to go overboard. I do want to keep it on the lighter end, but just to give a little bit of something. I don't think I mentioned when I swatched, which I normally do, the mattes are relatively creamy. They're kind of, well, they're not dry. There wasn't a lot of sort of kick up in the pan or anything like that, so they're definitely more on the creamy side. All I would say, apart from Regal, which is the plummy brown, almost black shade that's in there, that one was the driest. They've all swatched really, really nicely. Even Regal, which is a bit, because I said Regal, I've just dipped into Regal. Right, let's wipe that off. No, we're not doing that. Despite the fact that it's a bit drier, it's still swatched quite well. And I'll definitely be using that on the other side so we can see how that performs. It kind of gives me, it's not a Mothership I own, but it's giving me Pat McGrath Mothership 7 vibes. So I'll get a picture, let me put that there so I can find a picture of Mothership 7 and put it beside it. But yeah, I'm getting very much Pat McGrath Mothership 7 vibes from this. Right, now I don't recall if I had jumped on the NYX glitter primer when I did Skullz and Roses. I don't think so. Now, I don't think these shades, the shimmer shades in here, need a glitter primer, but I'm going to shove it on anyway because I can, quite frankly. Back up top to the shimmers, and well, I think Bliss is going to have to get involved. Bliss is it a duo or a multi? It's got some shift to it. You know those, it's the very popular pink to green shift. That seems to be a shift that comes up a lot, but this is more subtle. Yeah, that's going on my lid. So we'll put that on the outside. And this is all my, that's nice. I should probably, let me zoom you in a little bit for this so you can fully appreciate this. So yeah, so this is almost a bit more satiny in comparison to the other shades. This isn't one of the shimmers I'd be concerned about getting fallout with. That's pretty. That's nice. And I think you can see the shift that I mean. It's almost pinky. It's pink to like a green toned gold. Because I think if it had any more green in it, it wouldn't fit with the rest of the palette. But that's a nice shade. And then for the inside, I think Charisma, which is this one right here. Little finger for a bit more precision. See that's a bit chunkier. Don't know if you can see that that's chunkier, but it's also very bright, so that's going to be, let's see. Yeah, you can see that's chunkier. Wow, that's a lot. I think I put a little bit too much on my finger there. That's a lot. Note to self, go in lightly. I've still got a lot on my finger as well. Now that it's on, I do kind of wish I hadn't taken it as far, but because I accidentally deposited too much and I had to sort of blend it out, it's taken it further across the lid than perhaps I would have liked. Okay, yeah, that's better. So I went back into Bliss and I've just used my finger and dabbed it further along. And now I've just accidentally got my little finger and shoved that down there. Cautionary tale there, go in lightly with these shimmers, wowzers. I might sort that with concealer in a bit. Let's do the other eye. And because I'm intrigued, I'm going to start with Regal, seeing as I've got Regal on the brain. Put that in my corner here. So this is a Refa 13 I'm using, and I'm almost drawing out a bit of a wing shape here. And then we're going to go from Regal to Ecstatic here. And I don't know what I'm doing yet. I'm totally winging this, by the way. I have no plan. No plan at all. And then we might as well go with Boudoir next. There's Boudoir. Boudoir and Glam, again, I think they're on the same level of depth, but different tones. See, that's almost more orangey, while Glam is more of a purpley based brown. And then I think I'll go back into all three of those, but just working outwards. I think I might have ballsed that up, but we are where we are. Shimmers. I think Fame and VIP on the lid with Sassy as an inner corner. VIP towards the outside here. The shimmers in here definitely pack a punch. Fame on the little finger. I don't know if you can see the difference between those on the camera actually. I can in person. It's subtle, but it's there. Like I think they're very pretty together. I'm going to tidy up my face a little bit with some concealer under my eye, and then I'll come back and we'll do the under eye for both eyes on camera. The concealer is on, and yeah, I'll just never get over how much concealer just brings things together. Under eye for eye number 1. I think it's going to have to be Glam, possibly smoked out with Loyal or Lucky. So just a reminder, that's Glam, Loyal and Lucky. Was the other way around? Yeah, the other way around. Lucky, Loyal. Glam, Lucky, Loyal. Maybe let's start with a bit of Glam on my Zoeva 230. Just, yeah, that's a great idea. You can't see anything when I do that, can you? I don't know if I will need to smoke this out actually. This might be sufficient, because this is my new current thing that I like to do. After saying about how Boujee was perhaps not a sufficient, was too light to be a sufficient transition shade, we're going to pop that in the inner corner instead. I'm becoming so predictable now. From never having done it before to basically doing it for every look. And this is my Refa number 3, Regal. Regal's very pigmented, so it picks up more easily. So when I was putting Glam on my under eye on this side, I had to go in quite a lot. This is just one pick up and swipe. Smoky. I like the smokiness, so I've just picked up a tiny bit of Ecstatic just to soften it ever so slightly, but not too much, because I do like that. Now we can go into Sassy. Yep, pretty pleased with Sassy as an inner corner. I'm going to finish everything off, and then I'm going to come back and give you my first impressions. We've got the softer side there, where I've tried to kind of stick to the top 2 rows, but I have ventured a little bit into the 3rd. And then we've got the much more smoky side, where I've concentrated on the bottom 2 rows. I think mainly even the last row has been the main focus on this eye. Soft glam, smoky glam. There we go. You know the drill at this point, guys. Which side do you prefer? Are you more into the delicate side? Or do you prefer this kind of more smoked out side, where I've gone in here with the smoke? Do you have a favourite side? Quick run through of how I have finished my face. Trigwell Cosmetics setting powder, very reflective, so you can't really see the logo there. This is now my staple. I might just make this like a project pan and that I just use it until I finish it without touching any other bronzer, because I like it anyway, so I might as well. The Revolution Glow Splendor Ultra Matte Bronzer in the shade Dark. The usual combo to finish off my eyes, Rimmel Thrill Seeker and the Clinique High Impact Easy Liquid Liner. For my blush, I have gone in with Peach Sugar, this shade right here, in the Deep Curve case, and then I have set that with the Pretty Privilege blush from Trigwell Cosmetics, and that's what Pretty Privilege looks like inside. And I've just put a tiny bit of highlighter, nothing too crazy, but I've gone in with Phenomena, which is this shade right here from Noctilucent. And I'm just going to say it, I'm going to have no shame in using products that have been discontinued, because I'm sure a lot of people who are watching will have these products. If you don't have these products, then I'm sorry, but I want to use the things I have, so I'm not going to be ashamed of using products that you can't get anymore. If that infuriates you, I apologise, but you're going to have to like it or lump it. I'm going to use what I've got, regardless of whether you can still get it or not. And, ooh, lips. I just thought this would be a very nice combo. Can you guess which lip liner I've used? I'm so predictable. It's of course the 89 Fine Liner, which is part of the Donnie Darkowitz Blend Bunny collaboration, the Little Miss She Never Misses collab. And today I've gone in with Natural Born Leader, which is a MAC lippy. I think it's ancient at this point. It probably belongs in the bin, but I really like this shade and I thought it would look really nice today, so I've put it on. And I'm debating if I want to put a gloss over the top. I might leave it as is for now. I think I'll leave it as is. Boujee Boudoir, Kaima Cosmetics. What am I thinking? I should probably refresh my memory of how much this is. I picked this up when there was a sale. The RRP is 38, but there are codes knocking about. In fact, I think I've got a code that I can share. If I can find it, I'll dig it out. The caveat to that is this palette is currently out of stock. I don't know when it's coming back. I hope it does come back for people to grab it who haven't got it, because, spoiler alert, I do really like this palette. I think, like as I mentioned, it does have those Mothership 7 vibes, which I don't have, so it's almost filling that gap. You've got to be careful with some of the shimmers in this palette. I already suspect that this eye is going to be just a little bit... I don't know if this eye is going to look the best, only because I accidentally dumped a whole heap of Charisma, I think it was Charisma, wasn't it, on the inner portion of my eye, and I don't think my eyelid's going to be happy with that, so we'll see. It's 2:30 now. I'm going to try to keep this on for as long as I can to do a little bit of a longevity test, because I know I didn't do that when I tried Skullz and Roses, so I'll wear this for as long as I'm happy to and comfortable to, just so I can see how this holds up throughout the day. I do think Fame is probably going to be one of my favourite shades in this palette. I'm curious, I need to try Star. I'm going to have to swatch Star separately for you now, because I've learned that I should probably put it closer to my face rather than trying to get it up to the lens to get it to focus. So I hope you can see that, and in case you can't and it's too far, I mean, look at that. I just had to swatch it again for you so that you guys can see, because it's not one of the shades that I've used. But that's beautiful, and I 100% need to get that on my lid as soon as possible. And that's one of the more gold leaning shades, and I think it's the same formula as Charisma, so one I'd have to be very, very careful with. Any of the shades that are chunky, they do sheer out, so as you can see, like that is one of the chunky ones, but it has smoothed out. So just go in with a light hand. And I say this because sometimes I can be quite heavy-handed, and I've fallen victim to that today, but just be very careful when you are dipping into those shimmers, because some of those have got a very strong pickup. Radiant, Charisma and Captivate. See, it's now I'm looking at them again, I can see the difference. It's almost as if they start a bit more silver and they get a bit gold. Would I like more variation? Quite possibly. Now, I think I'm quite happy with all the shimmers in the bottom half. There's definitely enough variation in there, but I do think I'd want a little bit more between Radiant, Charisma and Captivate. Like Captivate's kind of almost a bit more pinky. Charisma and Radiant are a little bit more silvery. They're not similar to the point where I'm frustrated, but I just wonder if maybe there could just be a little bit extra, bit of a steeper gradient there. One thing I did want to do actually is, I'll make this quick, but one of the observations I'd made was I wondered how close this would be to the neutral palette from Beauty Bay. Now, the formula, that when it comes to the shimmer formulas, there's going to be no comparison, but I feel like they've got similar vibes, so I might just hold them up together, because if you're on a budget and you don't want to pay 38 quid or 38 quid plus whatever discount code might be knocking about, and you just want to grab neutral, I want to see if that's a good option for you, and I think it might be. Hold that thought. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to hold these up side by side, this one's so massive. But you see what I mean? This is like, it's the neutral palette, and it's the cool tones. And then if I can fit this in, you see what I mean? The only thing is, you're just going to be missing the shifty shades in the Beauty Bay palette. I'm just going to see if there are some very obvious dupes in the mattes that I could demo. We've got Boujee here. Boujee, and that's quite close to Twig. Just eyeballing these, there is a 100% a dupe for every single matte shade that's in this palette. 100%. It's gonna be those shimmers. Bliss. Should we try Cupid? That's not bad, you know. That doesn't look like it's gonna be bad. Like, it's the same shade up front, but it's obviously lacking that shift. Captivate and Saddle. Captivate, and then Saddle. Yeah, so definitely dupes for the mattes, but the shimmers, they're gonna lack the oomph. By all means, if you want the vibes of Kaima Cosmetics Boujee Boudoir, neutral is definitely an excellent option, but just bear in mind that you're going to miss this oomph and the shiftiness. That's up to you as to what kind of final look you'd want to go for, but maybe one day I'll come back and I'll dupe this out properly and do one look on each eye, and that could possibly help you to decide. We're going to leave it there for now, but we'll fast forward, don't know how many hours yet, and we'll do a check-in a little bit later. You'd have thought I'd have completely finished the food I was eating before I pressed record and started talking, but no. I'm checking in. I think I had more or less finished my face at about 2 p.m. Let's call it 10 o'clock. So I make that 7.5 hours. That's not bad. A bit less than a working day, obviously, but I think that's not a bad longevity test. A lot of glitter fallout here. I think I've said it before. I blink excessively when I've got my contact lenses in, so I think that's part of the reason why you're seeing a lot of fallout. Plus, I did go heavy-handed. I think I met, especially on this side, which I'm surprised I've got more fallout on this side actually. But I did add more of this shimmer, and I actually thought that this would end up wearing poorly because I over-applied it on this side. But that's actually held up really, really well. I see a little bit of creasing here. Nothing too bad. I don't think I'm too mad at that for 7.5 hours. This eye is held up very impressively, I must say. And that's, I have used a NYX glitter primer here. That's both eyes after almost 8 hours of wear. Almost 8. So I won't linger. I'm trying to remember what I'd said. One thing I do want to cover. So I touched on this briefly when I did my Skullz and Roses review about the packaging. So this is the outer carton, and it comes packaged very much in the same way Beauty Bay palettes come. So it was inside bubble wrap, inside this outer carton. So I've kept this for a couple of months just to be able to kind of show it to you again, but I'm getting rid of that now. I do still feel like the packaging lacks a bit of finesse. If it's a case of spreading the money about so more of it goes on the formula, then I can take that, to be honest, because I do quite like the formula. I get it, Boujee Boudoir, but it's a bit on the nose, isn't it? And it's almost on the verge of tacky, dare I say it. I think like there would be other images that could have been used to demonstrate the theme. But that's just my opinion. That's just my opinion. As I say though, I'm willing to tolerate what I believe is somewhat mediocre packaging if the money is going to be injected into the formula rather than the cover. I'm not surprised, to be honest. I do like this. Colour story wise, yes, Skullz and Roses does trump it for me, but I do quite like this cool toned, pinky, neutral look. I do quite enjoy that. And as I say, if you're on a budget or you're impatient, you don't want to wait for Boujee Boudoir to come back in stock when it's £38 and you want to dupe those vibes and save a bit of cash, you can of course go for, God, this is ginormous. You can of course go for the Beauty Bay neutral palette, which looks like that. All in all, I think it's a pretty solid palette, pretty solid. I hope that you have found this video useful. Kaima Cosmetics, I think, is one to watch. I will be looking out for future palette releases. I'm curious to see what else they come out with. I hope that you found this video useful. If you have, don't forget to give it a like, maybe leave me a comment down below letting me know which side you like the most perhaps. Consider subscribing and hit that notification bell so that you know when I upload. As always, thank you for taking the time to watch, and hopefully I'll see you again in a video in a not too distant future. Take care. Bye. Nomad Cosmetics 5G food link. Oh, I think I actually threw that down the stairs.